Another missile fired into the Red Sea. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. U.S. Central Command says the missile was fired from Yemen toward an international shipping lane near a Hong Kong-flagged cargo ship. No injuries or damage was reported.
Iran-backed Houthi rebels have launched 15 attacks on ships since November 19th. There have not been this many missiles fired at international ships since the tanker wars during the Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s, during which U.S. warships had to escort vulnerable oil tankers.
Fox's Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon. U.S. Central Command says the incident did not involve U.S. forces, and it is monitoring the situation. A top White House official in Israel to discuss lowering the intensity of its attacks in Gaza.
National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan walking right into a political and strategic maelstrom, meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu and others, saying afterwards he discussed with Israel about pulling back its brutal offensive amid reported rifts between the White House and Israel about tactics. Publicly, though, it sounded full steam ahead. Sullivan saying the U.S. is backing Israel's war against terror. Netanyahu saying they will fight to the end. His defense minister today saying the war would go on for several months.
Fox's Greg Palcott in Tel Aviv. Hamas strongholds all across Gaza hit by Israeli fire. Former President Trump loses a challenge to a gag order in his New York civil fraud case.
A New York State appeals court denying former President Trump's bid to overturn a gag order imposed by the judge overseeing his civil fraud trial in Manhattan. The gag order prevents the former president or his legal team from publicly speaking about court staff. Mr. Trump writing on Truth Social this week that he wanted to testify again in the case, but decided not to because Judge Arthur Engeron's gag order takes away his constitutional right to defend himself.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. America is listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
The red and blues could light up any time. Cloudy and cold overnight with lows around 30, high 50s Friday, and rain possible Saturday. I'm Donnie Burgess. Here's what's trending this hour. You've probably heard about more cop chases than last year, especially in Indianapolis. It goes to show there's nothing routine about the job, says Sergeant John Perrine with Indiana State Police.
99.9% of our interactions on a day-to-day basis go just like you would expect them to do, whether that be, helping somebody, issuing a ticket, even making an arrest. The vast majority of those go without incident.
Prine says police chases are up over 100% from last year. A baby died in Indianapolis this week. John Herrick reports the mother is being criminally charged.
That child's mother, Ingrid Marlene Hernandez, was arrested Friday. The baby ended up dying on Monday. Police say Marlene Hernandez likely shook the baby and also changed her story several times. The cause of the child's death was ruled a homicide on Wednesday, so the charges against Marlene Hernandez are neglect of a dependent causing death and aggravated battery. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Almost 200,000 children in Indiana have at least one parent serving time in prison. The Prison Fellowship's Angel Tree program helps both the parent and the child by allowing the parent to register their child to receive a gift on their behalf.
We want to help support that relationship, and you don't stop being a parent just because you're behind bars.
Betsy Wright with the Angel Tree program. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. And now here's the forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
We'll stay mainly clear tonight as lows drop into the upper 20s. Then the warmest day of the work week arrives for Friday with highs in the mid-50s with increasing cloud cover and light winds out of the south, along with staying rain-free. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Stephen Deanna for 93 WIBC.
Are your health insurance premiums making you sick? George and Megan at yourcoverage.net can help. George and Megan have helped countless individuals and families save 30 to 60% on health insurance with superior coverage. George recently saved a family of four $800 a month with the Aetna Network $0 deductible and $0 doctor office copay plan. This is not a government-sponsored health insurance plan. So if you're uninsured, recently lost your job, on COBRA, or are paying extremely high rates for Obamacare or your work coverage, George and Megan will help you if you meet the flexible guidelines for health insurance. Yourcoverage.net will provide you the best coverage at the lowest rate. Their goal is to give you peace of mind and the utmost in healthcare. Go to yourcoverage.net and see for yourself, or better yet, call George and Megan at 1-800-491-5500. That's 1-800-491-5500. Or go to yourcoverage.net. That's yourcoverage.net, a premium personalized healthcare plan managed and designed by you, not the government. moment. You've been hearing me talk about how I go to 459 Barber Lounge. Tony Katz here, and the holidays are here. Now is the time to look your best and give 459 a try. Look your best for family and friends. Look your best for yourself. Go to the best. 459 has the highly skilled barbers and stylists you want with over 100 years of combined experience. They've been serving Indianapolis for 20 years, open 7 days a week, across from the Fashion Mall on 86th Street. 459online.com. 459online.com.
Do you hear that? Hey! It's the sound of a honey-baked holiday. The sound of mouth-watering memories being made over bites of their savory sides. And the sweet, crunchy glaze of a bone-in honey-baked ham. Or slow-smoked turkey breast. And of course, the satisfying scrape of a clean dinner plate.
Taste the tradition with 2 Central Indiana locations, West 96th Street and Michigan Road in Indy, and East Greyhound Pass in Carmel.
Tony Katz.
It's Kendall and Casey, the Amber and Nigel show.
All right, when does your show start? Do we know? I feel like I've been promoting this for 9 years now.
This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Good evening and welcome to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC. I'm Tony Kinnett. And we're going to start off this quick news round. In fact, on October the 12th, I was at WIBC at Emma Studios in Monument Circle down in Indy. And there was a protest that was planned for that day. This was just a couple of days after Hamas terrorists stormed into Israel and massacred 1,200 Israeli civilians. That would include brutally raping, beheading, burning, and a lot of other horrible stuff that I'm not going to discuss on the air at present. There was a protest for Palestine, a pro-Palestine protest, which was organized and led by, according to a press release, Butler University's Students for Justice in Palestine group, one of the student organizations at Butler's campus. So I went down to the city level, and on my trusty dusty 3-day backpack, I had my GoPro camera, and I recorded a couple of hours of footage with the WIBC news team, as well as several of the other media organizations around Indianapolis. And what we saw was pretty typical of a lot of pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian protests. A lot of chants for the ethnic cleansing of Israel, the ethnic cleansing of all Jews from the face of that region through things like from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Of course, talking about how there will be no Jews between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea. And of course, the most disturbing chant of the evening that I heard, which is not a victim, not a crime, which is a direct reference to stating that the people of Israel, including civilians, are not victims. So therefore, the raping, the beheading, and all of the horrible things done to them were not a crime. Kind of disturbing stuff, something that perhaps you may not want to hear. And the College Republican Club over at Butler University, knowing that the student organization Students for Justice in Palestine was holding this protest, were also disturbed, given that not only are several of their members Jewish and they feared for their lives, but of course it's incredibly disturbing knowing that the discrimination policy at your university directly opposes this kind of action and rhetoric. So the Butler University College Republicans issued a statement in a 2-page letter on Instagram. And the letter stated it's not cool to hold anti-Semitic protests. It's not cool to celebrate the death of Israelis. And it's especially not cool to chant things like, quote, not a victim, not a crime, end quote. And they asked Butler University to take official action to investigate the matter. And then, according to Butler University's student office discrimination policy, to remove that student organization's ability to operate on campus. Again, if you're going to be a student organization that has university, kind of perks and obligations, then you have to follow a certain set of rules. And that was the end of it for about a few hours. Emails and other documents obtained by the Daily Signal found that the Students for Justice in Palestine were deeply horrified by this. And so they reached out to a Title IX coordinator by the name of Azure Swinford and basically complained that, oh, this is horrible. They're inciting violence against Muslim students and Palestinian students. I think it's personally a little bit racist to assume that all Muslim and Palestinian students would support the Hamas attack into Israel, but that's neither here nor there. Azure Swinford moved swiftly, and just a few days later asked the college Republican chapter to take down that letter and told the young men in private that they needed to basically not post anything else that incites from that point forward. Butler University launched an official investigation via a notice on October 30th into the college Republicans for these claims of inciting violence. But here's the catch. They appointed the investigator that brought the charges from the Students for Justice in Palestine in the first place, because, yeah, that's entirely ethical. And so Swinford conducted this investigation over the last 6.5 weeks. On this official notice of investigation, the Students for Justice in Palestine claim that the college Republicans made up the claim that people were at the protest chanting, quote, "not a victim, not a crime," end quote. And that because they were making these things up, like what was chanted at the protest, that therefore that was inciting violence. And so the president at the time of the college Republicans, a young man named Aiden, reached out to me and said, "Hey, you were there on the ground that day. Do you have any footage that shows them tweeting or that shows them chanting this? Because obviously I think this could close the investigation. That's what it all hinges on." And so I scoured the couple of hours of footage and I found this. Hold on. Let's load that clip up here. So, as you heard on that clip, they started out by chanting "Long live Palestine," and then repeated it. Then they chanted "Not a victim, not a crime," very clearly, followed by "Not a nickel, not a dime," very clearly, and then "No more room for Israel's crimes." And then they chanted some other things over again and continued. So, finding that we did indeed have this footage. By the way, you shouldn't need to have footage to verify claims. If you were on the ground somewhere and you were disturbed by something and you want to make an allegation, there is no Butler University policy, nor Indiana state statute, nor federal policy or law that says you need to have video evidence if you're going to make an allegation. That's not how the United States works in any way, shape, or form. But in this case, we had the footage. Aiden and the other college Republicans asked me to be their education rights advocate, because at this point they were concerned that the actions of Azure Swinford and Butler University were unethical. After all, a Title IX coordinator like Azure Swinford is a federally mandated and funded position. So you really can't screw around with federal funds and investigations, especially when those might infringe on the civil liberties of an individual or a group. So I recently, in the last couple of days, scheduled a time to go over to Butler University and to meet with Azure Swinford to actually sit down and have a conversation and get some answers. Not at the time, not for me, but so that we could actually close this investigation down and hopefully everyone could go over happy. We went over to Butler University. We went to the office of Miss Swinford, and she wasn't in her office. So we walked to another building, to a DEI office, and an assistant scheduled an hour-long meeting for Aiden, the new college president, and myself, and ended up scheduling that for 1 p.m. I went home, logged into that meeting via Zoom, and then we had an off-the-record interview and conversation with Miss Swinford for the purpose of kind of getting an idea of where the investigation was and how things were going. That said, the actions of Butler University that they would need to investigate a college Republican group for calling for an investigation and condemning anti-Semitic remarks is patently insane. That the Students for Justice in Palestine, who held an event where people were screaming for the blood of Jews, that's totally above board. But you better not call out an event like that. Remember the old saying, see something, say something? Well, now it's, if you see something, don't say something, because you might be investigated. And according to the college Republicans, Swinford told the young men that they could possibly just get a warning from Butler, or they could possibly have their organization status revoked on campus. So that's where we are. If you speak out against insane, crazy Muslim rants, that's horrible. You better not do that. But if you're the one actually saying the crazy rants calling for the genocide of Jews, that's totally above board. That's fine. Move along. It doesn't really matter if it violates the discrimination policy. What really matters here, of course, is the language that's used in the GOP letter, which, again, just calls for Butler University to look into the situation and to revoke status because the actions violated the non-discrimination policy. So great stuff over at Butler University. You can read that entire story over at the Daily Signal. Up next, we're going to be talking to Rob Kendall. Education funding is again a mess here in the state of Indiana after that awful tweets with Jerry Lopez. You are listening to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
We feel
it as soon as you step out the door.
What you feel.
Bundle up. Feels like winter.
Could be more like summertime.
Do you feel like we do?
All the feels.
It feels a little like winter.
Feels more like summer.
Of fall.
It's kind of the clash of two seasons.
Weather. When you need it.
The ebbs and flows this time of the year is so evident.
On your official fall weather station. 93 WIBC.
With tens of thousands of satisfied patients across America, it's no surprise QC Kinetics gets 5-star reviews.
I'm feeling on top of the world because of QC Kinetics.
I'm able to do the things that I wasn't able to do for a long time.
I can recommend them highly. I would recommend QC to anybody.
QC Kinetics has changed my life.
I couldn't believe it. I honestly was skeptical, but the pain went from a 10 to a 0.
Real people with real lasting relief from joint pain.
QC Kinetics regenerative medicine is regenerating me.
Super successful, and I recommend everyone seek out QC Kinetics as an alternative to surgery.
This non-surgical approach is definitely the future.
I tell as many people as possible. I am an ambassador. I love QC Kinetics.
QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in advanced regenerative medicine. No drugs, no surgery. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 317-559-PAIN. That's 317-559-PAIN. 317-559-PAIN.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be a sign that your digestive system isn't working at its best? Taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil fiber powders help promote your daily digestive health using a plant-based fiber called psyllium. The gelling action of this special fiber traps and removes waste so you can feel lighter and more energetic. Metamucil, promoting digestive health for a better you. Learn more at metamucil.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Nobody cares for you like family. Family Heating and Air.
We set out to be the very best of the best, and past couple years we've actually achieved that. For all of the state of Indiana, we've been awarded the Dealer of the Year award twice now. Unlike other brands, that only gets handed to one dealer every year, and we're very proud to have won that twice.
Put the best to work for you at FamilyHVAC.net. Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Let Bill Estes put you behind the wheel of the powerhouse brands that define American toughness. Ford, Chevy, Ram, and GMC. Right now, save up to $15,000 off MSRP on Ram. Unleash the power of the road with Bill Estes Trucks. Find the location near you and see their inventory at BillEstesTrucks.com.
Prices include Costco membership rebate of $1,000. All rebates and incentives included in final discount. Stock numbers BCI 230444, BCJ 240066, BFB 230713. TRX Raptor and ZR2 models excluded from all offers. See dealer for details. Offer absolutely ends January 31st, 2024.
Here's an unexpected holiday surprise for all the last-minute shoppers. Now through December 17th, all of Diamond's Direct Diamond Classics are 25% off. That's all diamond earrings, all diamond bracelets, all diamond pendants, an incredible 25% off. Special financing, too. Get the perfect gift at the best value price all year. 25% savings on all diamond earrings, bracelets, and pendants. Now through the 17th only, and only at Diamonds Direct. Get details, directions, and more at DiamondsDirect.com. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Tune in Saturdays 9 to 1 for the Home and Garden Show for advice and fun. Brought to you by Michaelis. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. But most people don't know they are infected. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you can still have hepatitis C. A serious liver disease that often has no symptoms. In fact, people can live with hepatitis C for decades without feeling or looking sick. But over time, Hepatitis C can cause serious health problems, including liver damage, liver failure, or even liver cancer. Getting tested is the only way to know if you're infected with hepatitis C. That's why the CDC recommends everyone born from 1945 to 1965 get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments are available that can cure this disease. So talk to your doctor about getting tested. It could save your life. A message from the CDC.
If you can plan barbecues and weddings, you can plan to protect yourself from a natural disaster. Sign up for local alerts, prepare an emergency kit, and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Through their service, veterans have our backs. Now we should have theirs. Learn more at gotyoursix.org.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by Pierce Jewelers, Carmel's Diamond Engagement Ring Store.
This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Back to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC. If we're going to talk about universities and state funding, then you got to bring on the man who has complained about more state funding disasters than any other man in the Midwest, and that's Rob Kendall. Thanks for hopping on with us, man.
Yeah, and when you want to talk about just an endless money pit, education in the state of Indiana is that. I know you covered that at length in your first segment on Butler. Is really some compelling and very interesting stuff.
Well, I'll take it. I mean, it seems like you'd think that I have to really look under some rocks to find some of this stuff, but it's become so commonplace. I mean, again, when you have university presidents wandering out into the public and saying that there's a double standard for justice or discrimination standards on campus, and then in Butler's case, universities that are taking federal money with Title IX and Title VI that are also participating in discriminatory practices. It's just, you cannot trust universities that are taking state and federal money to use it responsibly. I have yet to find one university that's done so correctly.
Well, you've written eloquently about this for a long time, but the problem in Indiana is it's across the board, right? Think of the video that came out earlier last year where you've got these executives at these various institutions, the K through 12 learning institutions in Indiana. They're admitting, yeah, we do DEI and we do SEL and we do CRT and we find out ways to hide it from parents. How many of those people were fired or dismissed? How many heads rolled in that account? None that I'm aware of. And so people are getting away with it at all levels in public education because the Indiana General Assembly deeply fears the angry red-shirted teachers.
And not only the deep fear of the red-shirted teachers, but it's the administration officials from these universities. Like the universities in the state are a group of sacred cows, part of a herd that you're not allowed to touch. I mean, Indiana University lost their ever-loving mind when the state pulled funding from the Kinsey Institute, which was this very weird sexual pedophilic university that had been doing all kinds of creepy sexual testing for years. The problem that I'm facing, at least as I look at how we fund these universities, whether it's at the federal level with the Title IX and the Title VI funding, and then, of course, access to the Pell Grants, as well as, in state funding and our contributions, I'm not seeing a return on investment. I'm seeing additional really useless majors that these universities are funding, and I'm seeing fewer doctors and engineers and law degrees and actual substantive programs that kids are studying. I'd rather see the vast majority of state funding going to trade programs. At least then that'd be worth something.
Well, you've talked about this on our Kendall and Casey show before. Like the standard for excellence in Indiana in K through 12 education, at least, is pitiful. I mean, you've got 36% or more of kids failing the mandatory testing, and that makes you the number one school system in the state of Indiana. And most people have absolutely no idea about that, what that is, what that means. And so when you extrapolate that out to the university level, now it's this stuff like you're talking about with the college campus Republicans being condemned for simply saying, hey, probably not great to be supporters of Hamas, but now they're potentially in big trouble at Butler.
Huh. So the question that I have to ask you is, why do we let these educational institutions who are entitled that they deserve the money? I mean, if you even try to adjust the budget, they come in, if you're not raising the budget for education this year, you say it all the time, the red-shirted teachers march in. A lot of them don't know why they're there, as those that we interviewed last year. But the unions hike everyone all in, and they say, we deserve this money. At what point are we going to say, well, then we need some results? If I'm going to give you more money, then I need something in return. Because right now, all I see are my property tax dollars going to the nearest trash can.
The biggest problem is nobody cares about you, Tony. I mean, think about the people that are running for governor in Indiana right now. Can you tell me one of them that has a really concrete plan to address the problems going on with public education? Can you tell me one person who you would say, boy, I feel really good about if that person gets in public office? Can you tell me one person in the General Assembly who has a concrete plan and leader at a leadership level to deal with this? They don't. They don't exist.
Right, and it's at the leadership level that's key, because when I look at the Senate Education Committee or even the House Education Committee, I'm just not seeing any real leadership that has a plan for reining in the unfettered bureaucracy of the Indiana Department of Education. And so we're just going to keep on going. I mean, the current lady that we have in the DOE is just as bad as McCormick was. There's no real advancement. Kids are just flunking out left and right. The good teachers' time is wasted. The bad teachers are given all of the credit and opportunity. And it leaves you and I sitting here on with Rob Kendall from Kendall and Casey. And it just seems like we keep hitting wall after wall repeatedly year after year, because the money just keeps going up for these people. And there are no consequences in sight for these institutions that are run like garbage.
Yeah, my wife and I were having this conversation the other night, Tony, about what can we do? What can individuals do? And the bottom line is, until people are willing to get involved on a mass scale, on a mass level, it's just simply going to be very hard to make a difference, because the legislators don't fear the public. The angry red-shirted teachers have far more influence. The public education system has far more influence than individual parents. And until you're willing to punish Republicans who don't behave along the Republican Party platform, who continue to allow this totally out-of-control stuff to take place, you're just simply not going to get any change. People have to engage. People hearing your program right now, simply listening to you and nodding and going, yeah, Tony's right, it's not enough. You've got to engage. You've got to step up, and you've got to get involved in the electoral process and getting these bad people out of office.
And that doesn't just mean running for office. I mean, and because I've seen this in the last couple of years, that a lot of people with a lot of really good intentions and a lot of good heart, they're like, all right, I'm going to get involved. And then they're like, how hard can it be? And they run, and they don't do the research behind the position. And then they get into whether it's a school board or another kind of board for a municipal organization or the state house. And, when they're not drinking and driving, they don't really know how the Indiana Constitution works. They don't really know how precedent works. I go in and I say, well, where is it stated in the Indiana Constitution? And I've had some of these representatives look me in the eye and say, I don't know if it's in the Indiana Constitution or not. We've got lawmakers who don't even know the laws of the state.
Because they don't fear the people, and they don't fear not being elected.
They don't have to.
They know if they win a primary, they're going to be in. And look at how the Republicans have rigged the primary process now, with all these people quitting in the middle of their term, and party insiders pick the new state senators and state reps or comptrollers or secretary of states or whatever it might be, Tony. It's a totally rigged process, and they just know that conservatives are going to give their vote away to Republicans, so we don't have to cater to these people.
And so moving on from this point, do you think that this is, solved at the primary, or is there even a fix at this point? Do we just have to watch it get worse before there's any kind of a catalyst to get better? Because this is where I'm at a loss. Everyone recognizes that the system is garbage, yet you and I both know that when January rolls around, when it's time for the next budget to kind of sink into place, it's going to be more money for the Indiana education system. No, not specified as to go anywhere important, but more of the same kind of garbage and expecting different results.
The Republicans governed in a reform manner under Mitch Daniels because they needed success and they needed reform in order to stay in office. Republicans do not reform now because they're in the legalized vote buying business. Too many people have given their vote away to red no matter what, and when you don't have to earn a vote, you get in the legalized vote buying business, and until people are allowed to or feel compelled to let Republicans lose who don't deserve to win, this just isn't simply going to change.
So I have a question on the back of that for you. So if in the decades down the line, if I ever run for the state Senate, will you run for the state Senate with me that same year? Because think of the committees that we could sit on. Think of the shenanigans that we could cause. I mean, we could probably get the state to slash at least 35 cents in the annual budget.
I hope that someday you are the Secretary of Education. As I've said many times, I am very, very retired from politics and will never go back. But I shouldn't say never. We'll very likely never go back. But I'm very excited for you, and I hope.
Come on, you and me, state Senate, same time. We could do it.
Oh, goodness, Tony. I had a chance to be a state senator years ago and passed on that because, well, quite frankly, talking about other people is way better than being talked about.
Oh, Rob Kendall, you're something else. Thanks for hopping on with us this evening. Hopefully next week we have a little less to talk about. You and I can get some rest for once.
You're the best, Tony. Good to talk with you as always. Thank you.
You are listening to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Greetings from R&R Agency, your Indiana health insurance pros. We recently saved a 50-year-old couple over $300 per month when compared to their old individual plan. We recently saved a family of 4 over $400 per month when compared to their quote on healthcare.gov. We are now entering the crazy enrollment season when our federal government will spend millions telling us that healthcare.gov is our only good option for quality health care. Whether it's called healthcare.gov, Affordable Care Act, or it's still Obamacare, don't let the federal government or their big insurance company cronies tell you that you don't have a choice. Give us a call at 317-563-0868 or go to rragency.org. That's 317-563-0868 or rragency.org. If you don't call us, we can't help you. Quoting the great Dr. Duke Tomato, Lord, please help our Colts. And as always, God bless America, or at least what's left of her.
Terry Stacy for Cynthia's Hallmark, where toy shopping this holiday season is really fun. All 4 stores have a big selection of just the right toys for all ages of kids, starting with the popular Follow bracelets. These bracelets let you track a wildlife animal while raising money for wildlife rescue groups, just $16.99. Cynthia's has the ultimate pickleball set for kids, complete with paddles, balls, and net, just $49.99. Warm Pals regular and weighted hugs plush animals, lavender scented, comforting, and designed with sensory fabrics, $29.99. Glow-in-the-dark cozy blankets, just $19.99, and puzzles never go out of style. Cynthia's has lots of choices like spring box puzzles, including holiday-themed hot cocoa stand or the snowman. Still a great selection of games for the entire family, and the amazing magic set with over 400 magic tricks on sale, $29.99. Family-owned Cynthia's Hallmark, celebrating 38 years. 116th and Allisonville Road, 116th and Brook School Road, 96th and Lantern Road, and in Greenfield.
Dents happen. There's a whole lot of stuff that can mess up the look of your vehicle. Don't paint your car. Go PDR with Kill a Dent Removal. PDR is paintless dent removal that saves your factory finish and is way less invasive than traditional body shop repairs. And it's faster too, sometimes same day. Google Kill a Dent Removal and check out the reviews and photos. Then schedule your repair. Hail baseballs, kids, fender benders, shopping carts, flying cows, angry X's, and anything else that leaves dents. Don't paint your car. Go PDR with Kill a Dent Removal.
The pace has never been faster. The energy and excitement never more revved up.
Brown for another 3. Bruce Brown has made 6.
Don't miss your chance to see this high-flying team when they return to Gamebridge Fieldhouse.
And here's Jackson. Got it from Laura.
Your Pacers battle Paul George and the Los Angeles Clippers Monday at 7. Get your tickets at Pacers.com. That's Pacers.com. Pacers Clippers Monday at 7.
Why? Why take a chance? Why risk a mistake? Why say something? We all have reasons why we choose to ignore the things that give us pause, that seem out of place, that don't feel right. The word why can either paralyze us or empower us to stand up and protect what we love. So if you see something, why do you say something?
I see safe for my family.
I see safe for my friends.
I see say for my students.
We see say for each other.
I see say because all of this matters.
We all have something worth protecting, a why that unifies this community we're all a part of. So protect your everyday. Report suspicious activity to local authorities. If you see something, say something.
Tax refund advance loans at Jackson Hewitt. Starting December 11th, early refund advance offered to eligible clients. Application required. Finance charge applies. Loans by Republic Bank. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Awful tweets, the ones that no one ever deletes. Awful tweets on the Tony Kinnett Show.
On 93 WIBC.
Good evening and welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC. That's right, it's time for Awful Tweets with everyone's favorite indie Spanglish man, Jerry Lopez. How you doing this evening, my dude?
Doing great today, Tony. Doing great. How are you doing this evening?
You know, it's been a hectic week, but it's getting a little better. So why don't you start us off with a real stinker?
Let's do it. Hey, we're coming right out of the Chicago Teachers Union president. Here we have Stacey Davis Gates. And for those of you who don't know, she has some unpaid bills that are due in the state of Illinois. And people have taken it upon themselves to go ahead and send her a little messages, some mail, something like that. And this one piece of mail she received basically said, pay your blanking bills. And she put on Twitter, the Illinois Policy Institute won't be satisfied until someone in my household is harmed by one of their rabid, racist, and woman-hating followers. Now, nobody mentioned race and nobody mentioned women at all. But I'll take it a step further. Somebody else in the Chicago Teachers Union quote tweeted her and said, this is a dangerous and vile game being played by the radical right, who are targeting a transformational black labor leader while dangling our democracy as bait to lure the country into fascism. All because she didn't pay her bills.
So I actually commented on this one. So we were in the same mind this week. And I asked her, because it was on a Christmas card that was sent, a little Christmas card that said, pay your bills. I think it was like, you effing loser. And then like F you was then the second half of the card. And she's saying this is a threat, which I don't know if any of you out there have a dictionary at hand, but telling someone a childish explicative is not a threat. I responded, I would love to send her parents a Christmas card expressing my apology for the disappointment their daughter has become. I'm not a follower of the Illinois Policy Institute. I have no idea what they have to do with her, but man, I tell you what, I'm going to be a follower now if they're sending Christmas cards like that.
Definitely.
Pay your bills. Well, speaking of transformational black leaders, and I say that because the only people who seem to care about the skin color of an incompetent official are always the NAACP and like the equity crowd. Like, you know, if I did a really bad job on a report, let's say I retracted something, which hasn't happened, but let's say I did. If I retracted something, no one would be like, hey, Tony Kinnett is a transformational Cherokee and Irish leader in this country. How dare you? No, it would just be Tony, made a stupid move. But anyway, here we go. This is from Derek Johnson. Derek Johnson is currently, I believe he's the 19th president and CEO of the NAACP. He says Harvard President Claudine Gay is a distinguished scholar and professor with decades of service in higher education. The recent attacks on her leadership are nothing more than political theatrics and advancing you guessed it, folks, a white supremacist agenda. Of course. I just, of course it is. I mean, she's caught plagiarizing. I don't think you need to be black to plagiarize, do you? You're Hispanic. Is there like a little box that you check that says, hey, you're Hispanic, you better get to plagiarizing?
No, I don't get a pass for plagiarizing. I wish I did. Had I had known, I probably would have went to Harvard. So I have one. This is from Pierce Morgan. And Pierce is always good for him, but this one I really liked. So this was actually a quote tweet that he put out. He quote tweeted Elon when Elon was taking the poll for reinstating Alex Jones. So he said, reinstate Alex Jones on this platform, and he took the vote. And this is not the first time Elon's done this, and he's basically said, whatever the people want is what the people are going to get, right? So he's done this. Not the first one. Alex won overwhelmingly. 75% of the people said yes. Pierce comes out and he says, after what he did to the Sandy Hook families with his despicable lies, no.
Okay, so just a few things here, and I want to make this clear because we have to have this discussion. Alex Jones, who I find abhorrent, I cannot stand him. I think he's a vile human being. I think that what he said about the Sandy Hook victims and their families and the entire situation in that shooting is abhorrent, terrible stuff. However, he did not do anything to the families by saying that with their lie. A political commentator, and not a very intelligent one at that, got up and said some stupid stuff. Okay, that's a day ending in Y, ladies and gentlemen. Yep. Like he didn't order people to go harass them. He didn't get out of here. That whole situation is so silly. And also, shouldn't you want stupid people to have a platform on social media so everyone else can see how stupid they are?
I mean, so basically what he does is he's an over-the-top entertainer who really deals with some of the fringe stuff. and came out and said some things that upset a lot of people, and now they want to ban him from even expressing his opinion. When we ban people, they don't go away. They just find a little piece of segment on the internet where they can live at, and it becomes this echo chamber, right? We need these people out on X in the front so we can publicly shame them for their stupid opinions.
I was getting ready to say, yeah, I want AOC on Twitter so that I can make fun of the stupid things that she says. In the same way, I want Alex Jones on Twitter so that I can make fun of the stupid things that he says.
Yeah.
Again, if the Iranian mullahs get to call for Jew blood on Twitter, then I think Alex Jones should get to talk about gay frogs in Connecticut. So this is from a guy who claims to be a historian named Terrence Daniels. He's from the People's Fund, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. And he stated that this was in response to this claim that the United States was actually the bad guy in World War I and II. Did you know? We apparently supplied arms and fuel to both sides.
I did not know that.
I know. I also enjoy historical fiction. So this Terrence guy says, the U.S. was the only producer of jet fuel in the early 1940s. We didn't stop selling it to Nazi fuel we didn't stop selling it to Nazi Germany until after Pearl Harbor, which means that every single V-1 and V-2 rocket that hit England prior to us entering the war was powered by U.S. fuel. So first of all, a little bit of a chemical fun fact here: jet fuel was not invented yet. So no. Number two, the V-1 rocket. The V-1 rocket ran on like unleaded gasoline. It ran on jet fuel. So, I understand. You hate the United States. You're sad. You're pathetic. Whatever. But like, crack open a history book so at least your claims can be accurate. We literally issued an oil embargo to Japan and Germany before we entered World War II, like several years in advance. Come on, guys. Crack open a book.
Well, here's a guy that's going to tell you he's cracked open a book, and he's going to teach you all about. His name is Dr. Kevin M. Young. And his bio says he's a pastor, an author, an avid lifter, consultant. He also has he, him, and Rev as his pronouns.
Oh, you're missing one more word at the very last word in his bio. Is it still up? Did he delete it by the time that he posted that? He must have deleted it. He also had post-evangelical.
Oh, no, he has that before. Post-evangelical.
Post-evangelical. So he's almost a Christian, but he's kind of thrown that aside to be something else. Here, hit me with this tweet, because this is amazing.
So he says, we just moved into our new, lovely Deep South neighborhood a few weeks ago. While we don't have time to fully deck the halls this year, I felt it was important to let the neighbor know that we, too, follow Jesus.
So before you get the picture, the tweet sounds fine. I love the American South. American South is a wonderful place, very dear to my heart, like the Midwest. And hey, if you're in a neighborhood that's got some Christmas decorations, you want to let people know you're also here to celebrate Christmas. So far, so good. Then you get the banner.
Rolls out this banner to let his fellow Christian neighbors know that he celebrates the same Jesus. Except for his banner says the following: rejoice in the birth of a brown-skinned Middle Eastern undocumented immigrant.
Which is just astounding. So Jerry, I don't know. I don't actually know, if you are a Christian, if you do follow a denomination, and whatever that kind of stuff is. But if you know many Baptist, Methodist, Presbyterians, non-denominationals, which are just Baptists with a cool website, all of the Protestant and Catholic denominations, even the Orthodoxes over and around, we've known that Jesus was a Jew for like a long time. I don't know if you know this, but like Jesus being a Jew is kind of like central to the story.
The whole story, yeah.
Yeah. So the brown-skinned Middle Eastern thing is always hilarious. Also, there are a lot of pieces of evidence that suggest that not everyone that's roaming around that area is brown-skinned. There's actually not a word for what brown-skinned means in this context, so just kind of pointless. My favorite is the undocumented immigrant, because if you don't know this, what were Mary and Joseph on their way to do when they had Jesus in Bethlehem? Why were they going to Bethlehem? They were going to be part of the Roman census. They were being documented under the Roman census. They were supposed to go to their family city, pay their taxes, and register. Literally, the story of the gospel starts with when Cyrenius was first governor, and like they literally start this whole thing. I absolutely love it when evangelicals try to quote scripture or talk about scripture. Like Jesus was a Jew. Yeah, I know that. Like, he's king of the Jews. He followed the law perfectly. So excellent, awful tweets this week, Jerry. Great Christmas theme. I love how you worked that in there.
Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas coming up soon.
Absolutely. We'll be here, maybe not next week. That's kind of up in the air, whether awful tweets will occur next week. But I know that you're guest hosting the show for me for about a week coming up here. So thanks in advance for that, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to the next time we get together for more awful tweets.
That's right. You are listening to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Kendall and Casey.
When I was a boy, I used to have an affinity for professional wrestling. I was always a fan of the bad guy managers, and I used to tell my dad, I said, someday I will make them love to hate me. And I feel like at 39 years old, as I near my 40th birthday, I have achieved my life's ambition as I have made them love to hate me.
Kendall and Casey, weekdays 9 till noon on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
What's on your Christmas list this year? Is it endless soft and hot water? Pat Sullivan here. Luckily, my friends at Hope Plumbing are offering an amazing special during the holiday season. A free water softener with the purchase of a tankless water heater. Already have a water softener? No problem. Hope will give you $1,000 off a new tankless water heater. Be the most liked family member and give the gift of endless soft and hot water this holiday season. Call Hope Plumbing, 641-HOPE.
Brace yourself for the ultimate holiday deal with Consumer Cellular. Snag an incredible 50% off the Iris Flip when you buy before December 17th, making it only $34.50. The Iris Flip is all the phone and camera you need with a user-friendly design, the perfect flip phone companion. Plus, you'll get nationwide coverage and always free activation. Score 50% off when you use promo code RADIO50. Head over to consumercellular.com and use promo code RADIO50 during checkout to score this deal.
As a caring adult of a 7th or 8th grader, you may see their college plans as a distant process, but in reality, it'll be here in no time. Think about it. Your child could be heading to college by the time you pay off your next car. There's a good reason for middle schoolers and you to start planning their path to college today. This message is brought to you by the Indiana Youth Institute. Indiana's 21st Century Scholarship provides eligible students with up to 4 years of paid college tuition. So here's what you need to know. It is key that we make sure every eligible child is enrolled in the program. Requirements vary dependent upon age, and early sign-up is available for 7th grade students. For more information on the 21st Century Scholarship, visit learnmoreindiana.org/scholars. This Kids Count Minute is a message from the Indiana Youth Institute. For more parent tips, visit IYI.org.
Kids count on you.
We see it every day online, tragedy of some sort, and our kids see it too. This message is brought to you by the Indiana Youth Institute. Now more than ever, our youth need our support, even if they don't experience an event firsthand. Talking about what is going on can help them understand and feel safe. When talking to our youth about tragedy, use gentle words, offer comfort, and encourage them to share their worries. And remember, our youth could be experiencing fear, shock, anger, anxiety, and grief. These reactions are all normal, and their age will likely affect how they handle the stress. Be patient with support as your child grieves. However, if the child continues to display strong reaction for more than 2 to 4 weeks, they might need more help coping. This Kids Count Minute is a message from the Indiana Youth Institute. For more parent tips, go to IYI.org/kids.
Kids count on you.
Life is a collection of moments that last forever, so make them matter and make them count with a symbol of everlasting love. A diamond from Pierce Jewelers. Shop local, shop smart, shop Pierce Jewelers.
You let him try violin because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the-right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIPC.
Good evening and welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC. I understand that around the holiday season, you can get to feel just a little bit useless, maybe. I felt useless a little bit this week. There was a time when I was, working on a few things, and I wrote up an entire report on something that had already been written up by a colleague of mine like 2 days in advance. And of course, I didn't check before I started writing the report as to whether to see if Jarrett Stepman, who's one of the columnists that I work with most often, if he'd already written about it, which he's a genius. So of course he would get to ideas leagues before I would. So I felt kind of useless. You finish the article, it doesn't work. Maybe you cut something, you didn't measure twice, or maybe you did measure twice, you cut it and it still ended up shorter than it was supposed to. That's happened to every single person on earth that has ever done anything useful. But there are a lot of useless things out there. Allison, are you out there this fine, Thursday evening? She may not. I may have just sprung the most springy thing on Allison.
No, I'm here.
Oh, good. Have you ever seen the ad for a snowball maker? Do you know what a snowball maker looks like?
Does it kind of look like a sand castle thing?
No, it looks like tongs. Like if you took two soup ladles and you crossed them with each other. And so it's to help you make snowballs. And I think that's kind of useless. And you say, well, it's to keep you from having to get your mittens in the snow to get the snowball. But after you make the snowball, you still have to pull the snowball out of the thing and throw it. So you still end up touching snow. So that's a useless thing. Have you heard of the banana holder? There is, yes.
No, but I can imagine.
There are it's just a piece of plastic in the shape of a banana, and it holds the banana for you. Now, I don't know if you know this, Allison. I don't know how much of a fruit expert, maybe a green grocer. I don't know if you minored in produce when you were in college, but bananas come with a carrying case. Like the whole sleeve of the banana, you don't eat that. In fact, for a long time throughout human history, we have observed monkeys peeling bananas. They actually peel it the opposite way that we do, but that's not really relevant right now. Indianapolis City Council members, also extremely useless. Signs that say sidewalk ends in 20 feet. In New Mexico, Arizona, and Utah, they require you to post when the sidewalk is ending. I just got to be honest. I mean, I guess maybe out in the desert, Allison, you think the sidewalk blends into the dirt or something? I mean, it's out west.
Yeah, I suppose, but at that point, I mean, like you said, I'm pretty sure you can see 20 feet ahead in front of you.
I mean, I would hope so. And you can say, well, if you can't see 20 feet ahead of you, how are you supposed to see the sign? Your eyesight's not good enough to see that the sidewalk has ended. Shout out to the book from Shel Silverstein, Where the Sidewalk Ends. But you can see the sign that says, yeah, that's useless. And then, Allison, you know how much this angers me. Those PSAs that play, so there are a couple of different kinds of ways that people advertise on the station. And the PSAs on this station bother me deeply. Tonight, I'm coming after the Kids Count on You PSAs from the Indiana Youth Institute. Now, look, I was in education. They come from a really good place. They do. I understand it. You say you want to help kids. Some kids come from difficult situations and difficult homes. But guys, I don't know if there are any adults out there that need to be told that you need to talk to children. I don't know if you guys, so those of you that are on the podcast, again, you don't get to hear the PSA that I'm lecturing. So if you listen to the show live, we just came back from a commercial break where they go that kids count on you. And then there's that guy giving that really brain busting, explosive, amazing advice. Does your kid look stressed? They might be stressed. Yes. It's some great child psychology there. I really like that one. Use gentle words. No, I liked how they had to tell us that kids also experience emotions. Kids experience fear, shock, anxiety, anger, and grief. Yes, I don't know if anyone has looked this up yet. I may be wrong, but children are just small people. Not really breaking any new ground there. So PSAs, at least some of them, I like some of the PSAs on the station. I think they're a little repetitive, like they could make a few more a month. I'm so tired of hearing that lady say, if you can plan birthday parties and barbecues, you can make a disaster relief plan. I get it. That's a good PSA, by the way. You should have a disaster plan for your family. Very good thing. Switch it up, man. You have told me that I can plan barbecues and birthdays 87 times this month. And I'm not even someone who listens to WIBC all day. Some of these poor sods in the live chat, like they keep WIBC on from dawn until dusk. And this show's after dusk. So those poor people. The last thing that I want to hit that's expressly worthless tonight is petitions. Remember when you were in elementary school and they told you that like petitions were a great way to participate in civic action and civic duty? You can sign a petition and send it to your local representative. Guys, petitions have worked a grand total of one time, and that was on Disney's cartoon Recess. Petitions have not worked. The UN signed a petition begging Hamas and Israel to stop fighting. It's been a couple days since they signed that resolution that's totally not just a change.org petition. And shocker, nothing has happened. Absolutely not. You know, I know it's crazy to think that, you know, Israel and Hamas didn't sit down and go, guys, Gali, the nation of Gali thinks that we should stop fighting. And everyone suddenly realized, oh, okay, you know, people actually signed a petition to stop this show from happening on the left. There were some individuals in Indianapolis who were terrified at the idea that I would have a show. So they had a change.org petition, and it got 12 signatures. So just excellent work there. And guess what? The show still happened. Boycotts, they can work. Voting, that works. Signing your name on a piece of paper that says, I'm mad, just lets us all know that you're mad. My favorite one, this is from Hillsdale College. So Hillsdale College is a private school up in Michigan that takes absolutely no federal funding. And after the George Floyd protest, a lot of students at Hillsdale wrote an angry petition saying they were upset that Hillsdale didn't teach about BLM at school. Hillsdale only teaches classical history and philosophy and doesn't normally take on modern politics. So it was really nice to have like a list of students who definitely weren't paying attention while they were in college. I really enjoyed talking to some of the staff up at Hillsdale about that. So wherever you are this evening, maybe you're having a rough time, at least you're not as useless as a UN petition. Maybe you're not the snowball holder of the family. Maybe you're not even one of this station's PSAs. But you can go do good things, and maybe something else that's optimistic and encouraging. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
My little brother's friends have been camped out at our place for 2 days straight. 3. It's because of
Allison,
the
thank you so much for
network.
jumping in there on the last
Internet
segment.
that can handle
Oh yeah, sure, anytime.
with like basically
I feel
no
like I have to get a banana
And
holder
it's
now
only getting
and like put it
faster.
on the set.
When I was their age.
That is quite funny.
You sound like my grandpa. Please go home.
The next
Hey,
generation
thanks
10G
again,
network
and
only
take
from
care. I'll
Xfinity.
chat
The
with you
future
tomorrow.
starts now.
Yep, sounds